You're doing great, Mateo. Thank you.
Nice. Awesome. So yeah, that amendment has carried, and the it's now being recorded. So next point on the agenda is the reports. So first up, we have the president. So give me a moment. I'm going to give her the co-hosting rights. Awesome. So you should be a co-host now, Tolu.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Happy Sunday, and I hope your reading week was awesome. So I'll be going over my report for the past 3 weeks. I'll just breeze through it because it's quite a lot. So I would want everyone to, um, but I would just share my screen right now. Okay, yes. Um, the Office of the President, I did a couple of things in relation to the student union for the past 3 weeks, and I didn't change the date on this. I'm so sorry. I will do that as soon as I'm done with the report. My council report is divided into three: external, internal, and general. So for various external stuff, most of the external stuff was with CASA, so the EDI committee and also the National Advocacy Committee. Then we had a meeting with Skills PI. So while I was still the PRC, I and Malak wrote a policy on co-op and international students. And we are seeing a progress through this policy as we had a meeting with Skills PI to fund subsidized jobs for international students. And this is really awesome to see. We just had a meeting on the possible carry out of this, but at the same time, we are waiting for currently the House is sitting, that's the Legislative Assembly is sitting, and they'll just have to approve the budget before the money to fund this program will be given. So more, should I say more in context to this stuff would really be said when everything goes through. But it's basically a policy for international students to get subsidized job, more subsidized job from the government of PEI. So we had a good meeting with Skills PEI to do this. Also, I had a CASA liaison call, and where in this CASA liaison call, we did various CASA department updates and also welfare. And I'll get to this in a couple of seconds, but the NIF committee voted in favor to have a second international rep. And because my current CASA liaison call is with a student within the Atlantic region, I did ask her about how their council is, like if they have like two international rep or what is their ratio to specific groups of students are. She didn't really have much to tell me as the university is way smaller than ours. That's the St. Thomas University. It's much more smaller. I don't know how many of us are familiar with that, but it's just the Faculty of Arts that is there. So she didn't really have much on that part. But since STU, that's St. Thomas University, and University of New Brunswick, they are together. And the university together, they were able to, she would contact UNB and get back to me. So for the internal part, we had a Senate meeting. I know they'll give a Senate update soon. I do apologize for the noise in the background. Someone is here. So for Senate, then I had a meeting with President Ala where I gave him updates on our previous meeting. So I do have a monthly meeting with President Ala, and we discussed priorities about students and also updates from the previous meeting, which we discussed. Also, we discussed about the upcoming semester and the plans the university has for the upcoming semester. I also had Board of Governors meeting this previous week. We have a report. The Board of Governors will give more reports on the Board of Governors meeting. But in the Board of Governors meeting, I gave an update of what the student union has been doing from January till February. So we did it the mid of February during the break. So I gave a report up to the break on what the student union has been doing, from new initiatives to various events and thereabout. Then I had a meeting with NIFT, the NIFT committee members, where we discussed on the book exchange initiative that was brought up by our graduate Senate rep here. Also, we discussed on various EDI strategy and how to expand the EDI on council. Like I did mention earlier, that the NIFT voted in favor for the second, for a second international student rep, and we'll be bringing a policy towards that as soon as jurisdictional scans are completed on that. Also, I had an alumni association. We discussed, and then because Jose had a lot of things to do during the Love and Sex Week, I sat on the scholarship and award committee on his behalf. And in the scholarship and award committee, we basically just the COVID-19 International Student Fund that I sat on the adjudication committee. Also, we had a meeting with UTEI. So UTEI is a non-governmental, is a not-for-profit organization in Montreal, where they provide housing accommodation alongside student bodies to just bridge the gap, the housing gap for students in Montreal. And they are looking forward to do an housing survey for around Canada. And they reached out to a couple of other student union, student association on how the survey would be. So we had a meeting to hear them out, and we might be moving on with that survey as soon as start. Then also we had a meeting with Nibos Learning, our previous president for last year, that was Emma Drake. She sits on this organization as a board advisor, and she brought this idea to us and we heard them out. It's a peer-to-peer learning for students. So more like a tutor bank, but much more organized. And since this doesn't really fall on us, we took this over to Student Affairs, and we are just waiting for Student Affairs to see this. Black History Month, I co-hosted Black History Month with the Black Cultural Society of PEI, and it was much fun. Thanks to those, I send my gratitude to those counselors and executive members that were here. And I just appreciate them for coming. It was a wonderful time. We had 2 faculty members, 1 professor and 1 librarian, and 2 students, 1 student from UPEI and 1 from Holland College, because they were trying to gather the whole the post-secondary education body in PI. We had the president of the UPEI, the president of the Holland College body, Holland College Student Union, to sit on the council. Then also we did a swag giveaway on Wednesday, I believe. Yes. And we provided bags with some SU swags, muffins, coffee, and hot chocolates to students that were in the Macmillan Hall, just to help them relax while they were writing midterms. Some were reading there, and just to help them with that tension over there. Also, like I said, I do have a new aspect on my report called news. I'll just add one soon. So the current federal government, the Trudeau government, or currently the federal government, added a new policy or a new rule to postgraduate work permit. So international students that are studying outside Canada, in a Canadian designated learning institution, they have a valid, so the period they are studying online is valid throughout this time. It can be counted towards their postgraduate work permit. So before, you have to be within the province you are taking your post-secondary education with. But now, because everything is online and some students can come because of travel restrictions and all that, the government is making students or making other students that are doing school outside is to be able to count towards their postgraduate work permits by the time they are applying for one. So upcoming, a second news just a few minutes ago, Dr. Morrison did mention that the province is going into a red zone. So for the next 72 hours, which will be 3 days, the province will be on a shutdown. So they are urging everyone to just stay indoors. I know she did mention that K to 12 would be closed for the period, and the university would soon come communicate what will happen. But since there's a semi-shutdown, they would definitely close school for the next 3 days. I don't know how it will apply to nursing, engineering, and ADC, but as much as possible, we'll communicate that to students soon. But please do stay safe. They are trying to, she said one of the reasons why they are She said one of the reasons why they are putting a 3 days lockdown is because of they are trying to get in close contact with the 17 active cases currently. So they are trying to do contact tracing. So please, everyone, please do stay safe. Safety is important. Some other things that are coming up, which might not come up within the next 2 weeks because of what's happening, but we'll definitely communicate that this will run. Tomorrow and Tuesday was supposed to be a leadership and advocacy training. We'll definitely communicate when this would be able to happen because of the lockdown. But leadership and advocacy training is towards students to teach about leadership skills and advocacy training, from self-advocacy to advocacy as a group. So more of what I and Malak do at the Student Union, we are willing to pass that knowledge down to an average student at UPEI. And I would really love to see you guys register for this, and we'll definitely communicate when these dates will be available. Also, as the indigenous communities on my platform, I have worked with the indigenous, with the Mariomi Center. They currently have a new coordinator there. And we were planning a workshop for the 10th of March. So depending on how things are going, I know there's a 2-week circuit breaker currently till March 14th. So depending on how the school will run, this might be moved. So, but I am definitely planning a Mariomi workshop with the Mariomi Center, so where they teach about the importance of land acknowledgement that we do here and why we do it. Also, most of you might have heard about the John A. McDonald statue downtown, and why they are always advocating for a removal. We are going to be treating that topic and why they've been advocating for removal on that aspect. And also just random and various other histories of the indigenous people that we should know. We are going to be treating topics in that sense. So this is my report, and I would love to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Seeing none, we will move on to the next report. Thank you.
Okay, do I go ahead and share screen?
Yeah, 1 second, I'm gonna give you co-hosting rights.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, perfect. Just a sec, I'm looking for my report. Okay. I apologize if my computer goes crazy in the middle of it. I have so many tabs open and it's kind of slow. So let's hope this goes fine. Hi everyone, happy Sunday. I hope everyone's staying safe and calm and collected during this weird day. So yeah, this is the report of what I've been doing over the past 3 weeks. On the academic side of things, I met with the VP Academic and Research as well as with Tulu. She was in that meeting as well, and we talked about the Student Code of Conduct. So the code has been there's a pretty old code right now, and it has been in review, I'd say, since 2 years ago, but they never really got around finishing the review. So I conducted another review of the code, and I looked over the other reviews that the previous VPACs had left, and I kind of combined the notes. And we presented that to the VP Academic and Research, and hopefully the updated version is going to come to Senate sometime in March or April. And then there was a Senate meeting, but I won't talk much about that because I know that the senators will probably give a report. There was an APCC meeting, which is Academic Planning and Curriculum Committee. There was actually 2 of those, and we discussed SOTs, so the review of courses that students fill out at the end of the course, the rate of responses to those, and as well as other things. I won't go too much because it's 3 pages, so I just that we don't stay here too long. There was a bunch of student grievances this week, I'd say, and I worked with the academic coordinator on appeals around submissions for some students, while also just general questions from other students regarding follow-ups on their appeals. On CASA, I sat on a hiring committee for the policy and research analyst who had previously resigned. And actually, out of that, 2 folks were hired, one for the policy and research analyst position and one for the members relations officer, who is also a UPEI SU alumna. So that's great to see folks, who participated in the UPEI Student Union move on to great things. We're working with the Federal Policy Committee that I chair on the CASA side of things to write a student policy for student loans. And I did a bunch of work for that, as well as the liaison calls for the board. On the advocacy side of things, I met with the PEI Youth Engagement Officer, and we discussed what our priorities might look like for the next year. Of course, we don't have the policy priorities ready yet, but we just bounced ideas back and forth. They discussed with me what's going on now, what's important, and how they can help us bring that to government. It was a pretty productive meeting. And then I also followed up with the Department of Education and Lifelong Learning on meeting the newly appointed minister, which they highlighted that, everything's really busy with the legislative sitting, and the communications person for the department to try and follow up on our video for FAQs on student loans, but we have not received a response yet. But there is a backup plan that if they do not respond to us, I guess within another week, let's give them another week, we'll try and shoot the video ourselves and answer the questions ourselves to make sure that information is out there for students. The menstrual hygiene products have been received. I'm not 100% sure if we've already stocked them in the supplies building. Not that this is going to be helpful right now because folks can't access the building probably for the next 3 days, but make sure to do that and then update you folks. And then we also had a meeting with Skills PEI, which I would say is a huge win for our advocacy this year. We included a policy about how the government can invest into experiential education. And not only are they trying to do that, but they're also trying to target underrepresented groups in experiential education, which I think is huge. So that's a huge win for the SU right there. On the PEI community side of things, I interviewed Sweta Dabu, our previous VPACs and the executive director of the PEI Coalition of Women in Government. We were both approached by the Women's Network and the Women's Council of Women PEI to record a podcast episode for something that they're putting out on International Women's Day. It was, I would say, my favorite thing on this report. It was very nice to do that. It was really rewarding to have that conversation around great women. And then I also had a phone interview with Brian Higgins from CBC PEI about the in-person fall semester, which again, the senators will also talk about. And I also met with Laura Elaney, the assistant manager at residence, to plan for our activities in advocacy training. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be happening right now, but we will. I don't know if you folks can see all of my tabs, probably. I just closed my Facebook tab so it doesn't keep ringing. Sorry. And then we sat on the UTEI Flash Student Housing Survey, which we will be participating in. I also contacted the off-campus housing coordinator to see if we can collaborate on the regional data costs. And Nimbus Learning, again, it's the student-centric online tutoring platform, and we will be talking to student affairs about that as well to see how we can, create a better tutoring environment for students. I know that tutoring is a huge thing, especially now with not being in-person classes, but also in the future, how that can be incorporated with in-person classes. And AXCOM met, which is also a great part of my week, and we discussed the survey, policy priority survey, which has already been completed and should be put out tomorrow. And that's my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions on the VPAX's report? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you, Malik. So up next, we have the VPSL's report. So Jose's asked me to share my screen for you all. There you go.
Okay, hi everybody. Can people listen to me, Mateo? Am I heard?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Oh, no, nothing. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go through my report. It's rather hefty, but we'll try to get through it quickly while still pointing out important things. So for clubs and societies, still clubs have been doing their own thing for the most part. Me and Lena have been providing kind of some background support. The only important highlights I would say are that Mike and I were looking into the possibility of hosting the club's banquet. It would be around on April 8th, but with recent COVID updates, I assume that idea will be put on hold. And also the job position for clubs and societies coordinator has been changed, and we'll be looking into that in an agenda point later. Then I did a lot of planning for the March events. I'll skip over those for now, just because that's an agenda point itself. Then there's my report for Love and Sex Week. We will also skip over that right now because it's an agenda point. Skip, skip, skip. Mateo, you can keep scrolling until things change color. Actually, after that, you still keep skipping because that's the report for Black History Month. So there's a lot of things that are their own agenda points today. So I guess my report can skip right into others. Yeah, busy February for BPSL. Okay, others, yay. So just the usual, the important highlights would be that I met with the other two candidates that were running for BPSL. So in case you have not been keeping up with elections, we have 4 candidates for BPSL this year. We have Sierra Labeled, Mike Nog, Nathan, and then Nathan Lacroix, and then Jedediah Richards. And all of you should keep up to date with what those folks are doing and what are their platforms and stuff. I'm really excited to see where that part of elections go. Besides that, all of us helped to do the swag giveaway, and I continue helping the CRO with just overseeing elections, making sure things are going all right. And yeah, I met with AXA for an esports event that's going to happen during the last week of March, but I'll elaborate more on that during other parts of the agenda. So yeah, my report, fairly short. Many other things are their own agenda points. I would ask if anybody has any questions, but I don't think there would be that many.
Do we have any questions for the VPSL? I don't see any. So thank you, Jose. We will move on to the next report now. So we have the VP Finance report.
Just share my screen here. Yeah, so I'll just go over my report for February 8th up until February 26th. And the first thing on my
list is budget committee. So I am budget committee met on the 24th to discuss the new budget proposal. And we had an online survey that was live for 12 days, and we have had a total of 311 responses. So in budget committee, we went over the most common responses for different portfolios and saw how we could implement that in the new upcoming budget that will be presented in the next council meeting. So if you have any ideas or suggestion, you please feel free to reach out to me. Moving on, we have supplies. So got a report from the UPEI food bank, which is run by Sister Sue, about potentials for merging both food bank because of the shortage of funds that the UPEI food bank is experiencing currently. Also revisiting the supplies policy regarding keeping it anonymous. The reason behind it is that since 2018, we have been trying to keep the supplies anonymous. However, this year it's not working because we found that a lot of students are abusing it. So we reverted to the hamper distribution, as you guys already know. And also that some students were taking other students' hamper or even opening the packs to take other students' students' item, which in COVID is not really good, especially since we are not there to monitor it. So the potential plan is to have the supplies upstairs and students having to come to the VP Finance, coming to the front desk if they need anything from the supplies, and I'll just help them pack a hamper or something. Also, in regards to the menstrual hygiene update, the supplies downstairs will still be stocking it with menstrual hygiene products, since we would not be having the supplies there. So for the Panther Patrol, it's still the same outcome as January. We have an average of 20 students per week, and it's also being used for the UPEI food bank to do grocery pickups and all of those things. Emergency funding, in the month of February, we had about 35 applications. 10 of those applications were approved, and we currently have $9,350 left for the semester. And with the current circuit breaker, we might see an increase in the applications, but for now, those are the numbers we have. Met with funding committee to review the January funding application. We still have an average of 8 applications per review period. And most of the applications are like kind of redirecting it to the current situation. Since students are not able to travel, we are redirecting it to just anything that would help students' academics. Moving on, so we have Financial Literacy Week. So in the month of March, from the 15th to the 17th of March, I'll be hosting the Financial Literacy Week, just to enlighten students on little tips and tricks about their finances. So the 15th of March, we'll be having your financial health with Professor Andrew. And on the 16th of March, we'll be talking with the Scholarships and Awards Office. Also on the 17th of March, we'll be talking with Experiential Ed. So please keep an eye out for that series of events. So another thing I am working on is the Little Ways We Can Be Sustainable challenge. I reached out to a couple of clubs and society, and this is just an opportunity for students to enlighten each other about sustainability. It's kind of similar to Jose's challenge that he did during the fall semester, but this is more like an informative kind of approach where we're kind of learning from each other. So that is something that's coming up. Also with the Campus Trust Board of Trustee meeting, we met during this time period, and we went over our investment review and looking for ways that we could improve that aspect of the Campus Trust. And we also went over our marketing strategy since we had one university leave the Campus Trust recently. I also had an interview for the yearbook staff along with the VPSL and our administrative clerk. In terms of miscellaneous, we had executive meeting, helped the president with swag giveaway and all of those good stuff. For the mental health and wellness officer, we had our weekly check-in on the 16th and on the 26th. So she had an Instagram live with Jose for Love and Sex, which was in my point two. She also had a workshop with CMHA, Insights to Anxiety, and there were about 10 to 11 participants. And she said most of them really enjoyed it because it was an active session. Regarding the light therapy update, it's still available to be checked out, and due to the high demand, the library also ordered more lamps for this program. Also recorded a series of video with the UPEI counselors to just tell students what to expect in their first session of counseling. And she's currently drafting the mental health and wellness operation plan, mental health and wellness officer strategic plan for the upcoming mental health and wellness officer. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for the VP Finance? I see Carrie has your hand up.
Hi, Ayumi-kun. I just had a question about I know that you've been trying to figure out a solution for the food bank, the supplies. I just am a little concerned about your idea to hand out the supplies, because then students might not be able to access it during the hours that you're here on campus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. So it's going to, the plan is to mimic what the UPEI food bank is doing. So there'll be specific days, maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, maybe from 1 to 5 p.m., where students will just fill out a form and they'll just come to the office and pick up their pack. It wouldn't really be open throughout the day as it is now. Another way that we could mitigate that is like maybe having students' stuffs packed and dropped in the supplies, but that is still really sketchy because we've seen how it's operated during the last period.
Okay, yeah, no, I am worried about access, just because I know, students work different times, and if they're not able to access the food that they need to eat, I think that's a huge problem. And I really hope that, we can really highlight that when we're thinking about what to do next. I understand it's like a hard problem to solve, especially when people are taking other people's food. I just don't want to limit people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And my second question is, who decides on the applications for the emergency funding?
So it's the 8 executive members. So everyone has everyone picks a number of students and they review their application. So it's all 8 executive members.
Okay. How do you ensure confidentiality and conflict of interest?
So most of the time we try to hide the names of students on student application and just review the words, like hide the names and review the words. So those are some of the ways that we have tried to avoid reviewing someone that kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for answering my questions, Ayumi-kun.
I see Education Rep Sam.
Yes, just had a couple. Can you hear me, or it's not lighting up on my? Okay, yeah. I just had a quick question about the emergency funding as well. In normal years, I understood that the application provided up to $750 per application that was approved. Is that correct?
Yes.
So in this fund, it started out from $20,000 at the beginning of this the school year, correct?
Yeah.
So that worked out. I think I did the calculations right. That worked out to about $1,065 per application that was approved, because I saw there were 35 applications submitted and only 10 approved.
That's for the month of February.
Okay.
So
10...
we've had other ones for previous month. But yeah, this is just for the month of February.
Okay, that was just for this month then. Do we have a number of total approved applications from using the emergency funding?
Yes, I have a document for that. I could quickly just pull that up. I just have to share my screen and quickly grab that for you.
Now that document doesn't have any names or any.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That's good. So no identifiable features.
I do have the email address, so that's how I track it. So everyone's email address, the way whenever we send the money, so the email address is just it and the amount. So that's how I keep track of how many students have received funding. So yes, it does. I'm sorry about that. It does have the names of the email address of students.
Okay, so perhaps we shouldn't show it to everyone then. Just like the number, I guess, is all I'm curious about.
If you wanted to stop sharing your screen and then find the number, it's awesome.
I'll just do that for you. So we have a total of 53 approved applications.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that info.
Do we have any more questions? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you. Next up is the Senate report.
I'll be presenting the Senate report if you want to let me share my screen.
Yeah. There we go.
Perfect. Okay, so we had our Senate meeting on the 12th, and we talked about the summer and the fall sessions. So it was decided that for the summer, we were going to continue with the hybrid learning, just because there were some unknowns about the vaccine. So everybody kind of agreed that it'd be the best decision to stick with the way that we're doing it right now. And then for the fall, there was a motion to move to in-person teaching with some online components. And there was some concerns about how we won't know really how it's going to be like in the fall, because there's unknowns about the vaccine, and things can change really quick for the amount of COVID cases we have. But they said that it was a good idea to start planning now for in-person classes, just because there's a lot that has to be figured out before we start in the fall. So that was carried. So we will be going in person with some online components, and there will be some hybrid components as well. Then next we approved the students who applied for graduation before convocation, and they were all approved by the Senate. And then we talked about the EDI strategy, which is the equity, diversity, inclusion strategy. This one had some concerns because there was some confusion with who actually reviewed the document. So it was sent for review, but then they made a new draft of the document before people could review it again. And it seemed like they were trying to push the document so it could be approved before the Board of Governors meeting. So the president proposed that we endorse the document as a Senate, and then he distributed the document for examination over the weekend. And the Board of Governors meeting was going to be 4 days later. So it just seemed like he was pushing it so that it could be approved right away. And then there was concern about how vague it was to say any equity, diversity, and inclusion focused working groups being consulted, because it could allow for committees not of EDI in nature being allowed to sit on collective agreement discussions, but the president didn't want this conversation to happen because anything surrounding collective agreements couldn't be talked about or brought up in the Senate. And then the EDI work is slow work and all about giving opportunity to talk. So there were concerns that draft plans aren't taken back to the committees and they aren't getting their voices heard for the final document. And that's what EDI is all about being voices heard. So there were concerns there. But with the Senate, we couldn't actually, with the Senate representatives, we couldn't go against the motion because we didn't have a problem with the information in the document itself. It was just about not being given time to review the document. So we ended up approving the document and the motion was carried. And then we talked about the review committee and the new chair of the DVM, and that was carried. And we approved Jessica Strong to be voted as the member of the research advisory committee. And then the last thing we kind of talked about was the program for climate change. So they brought up a new program combining climate change and environmental studies together into a new faculty. So overall, that was approved to have one faculty for both, but there were just kind of some concerns about additional Senate seats for administration and for having a representative of that faculty on the committee, but overall the motion was carried, and that was pretty much it from us. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for the Senate rep? I see Carrie.
Hi, Jessica. I was wondering if you could repeat. I was a little confused about the EDI stuff. I understand it was a little hard to understand for you folks too. I guess, what did you end up approving?
We ended up approving to endorse the document to get sent to.
Can I make a point of information?
Yep.
We can't approve the document and send it. We can only endorse it, which then goes to the Board of Governors, who then decides whether to approve it or not. So we weren't approving anything. We were simply stating whether Senate endorsed or did not endorse the document before it went to the Board of Governors.
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you so much for that clarification.
Do we have any more questions for the Senate rep? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you. Over to the Board of Governors rep.
Just sharing screen.
Yeah, I gave you co-hosting, right? So you should be able to share your screen.
So, okay. So are you all able to see the screen?
Sorry, was that?
Screen for everyone.
I can't hear you very well.
Just is the screen visible to everyone?
You're glitching a lot
Hello?
when you're speaking. Hi. Okay, there we go.
Okay, done.
Hi everyone. Last Board of Governors meeting was set on Tuesday, Feb 16, 2021. So the topic was too broad and let's talk on the creep of the meeting. So first was a presentation of President's report. And it was an amazing report. It stated that total student enrolled this year are much more than last year's. Total students enrolled are 5081, which says that it is increased by 5.4%. 261 more students, and international students are more by 1521, which is increased by 4.5%, and the local domestic students are 5360. And we can say that there has been more registrations, so there are the more course registrations. So total course registration is 21,007, which says that it's up to 5.3% more. And for the academic counseling and all, the UPEI enrollment team conducted a winter virtual open house for prospective students on Zoom on February 13th. And the university is planning to have another degree, Doctor of Applied Health program, which will be one of its kind in our whole Canada. And our university will be the first to launch this degree, Doctor of Applied Health program. And we are planning, the Board of Governors planning to launch and to start this from the September 2021 only. But I think seeing the condition, the president shows how it will work. So I think it can get up to January 2022. So this was all about the president, and there were more. Let's talk on the student union report, which was by our president. She discussed all about the food bank, mental health service, video game co-op, the new one, election, letter writing campaign, and the close the gap. She included each and everything about your UPEI SC Council, what it did in the month of Jan and Feb. Next was Senate report. Yeah, it was some important for all the students to know, because the Senate is planning to get the next semester hybrid model, online as well as offline. The main courses will be online. Just the same, there's some courses where the lab is compulsory, that will be in offline. And yeah, as discussed earlier in Senate report, climate change and environmental studies will be collaborating, and a new faculty will be there. And I'm approximately sure that this will be approved by the new Board of Governors. And next is EDS strategy, equity, diversity, and inclusion. This strategy, this was started in September 2019, and it reached to Senate in Feb 2021, and it reached into the Board of Governors by the 16th Feb 2020 and into this meeting, and it was passed to the Governance and Appeal Committee of Governance and Appeal, and I'm sure it will be. I saw that there was a positive regards to this EDS strategy, and it will be passed very soon. And yes, the BOG, Board of Governors, requested UPEI for better representation of each faculty. There are so many distinct faculties, art, science, and commerce, so we need a better representation of that. And there was a report that Canadian Center for Climate Change and Adaptation, the site is completely done. 95% of the work has been completed. It's just the outdoor exterior kind of furniture and all that is pending, and it will be completed soon. And now the new construction has been started, and that is of a new residence, and we are planning to finish it by fall 2022. So next report was by Development, Fundraising, and External Relations Committee report. The last meeting met was on January 27th, and the e-votes were out. The e-votes were for some of the rewards, some of the awards which we wanted, and some were approved too, some were reviewed, and some were approved too. So now next is the Governance and Appeals Committee report. This committee sat on Feb 13, has regular 2021. Yeah. Governance and Appeals Committee, this was passed to this EDS strategy was passed to Governance and Appeal Committee, and the committee has recommended UPEI Board of Governors to approve the EDS strategy, and it has been approved by the Board of Governors. So it's some great news for everyone. Next is Finance and Audit Committee report met on Tuesday, 2021 modernization project. Yeah. UPEI Board of Governors was requested to have an increase in the funds, and the BOG increased 2.07 million to the 7.3 million, and which total outstands at 9.37 million for the network modernization project. This was all about the Board of Governors, and yeah, there was a special of our media and communication. We had a growth into all of our followers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and which is a great news. The network communication community is working great, and we are having a great response for this. This is all from my side. If you have any question, please let me know.
Do we have any questions for the Board of Governorship? I see Carrie.
Just me again. I'm wondering, like, what is the EDI strategy? Do you know, Akshay?
Actually, it is for kind of equity, kind of we need there are at our university, there are different diversity, different culture, different students from abroad. So it is like kind of universities taking an initiative though, so that everyone's feel equal and everyone gets each and every opportunity, kind of that we are planning to get this EDI strategy into our system.
Thank you, Akshay.
I see Malik.
Yeah, I was just also gonna talk to Carrie's question. So, but I don't know if that's needed anymore, but I'm just gonna say that real quick. It's basically what actually I did highlight. It's like equity, diversity, and inclusion strategic plan for the university to make sure that the university is promoting and supporting more equity, diversity, and inclusion on campus and in like the academic environment. I think it's been in the works for about definitely more than a year. It's been a while, and we're not the first SU team that this has been basically in the consultations. We were not the first SU team to sit on this just because of how long this has been. And yeah, they brought it to Senate, but the issue with at Senate was not necessarily the content, because the content was based on consultations, but it was the fact that no one saw a draft before this came to Senate. It was like we only got the opportunity to see it at Senate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was started in 2019 and finally it reached to Feb 2021 to the Senate, and they have just presented it in the this Board of Governors last meeting.
Okay, my follow-up question is, can the public view the strategy?
Yeah, sure. I will share a PDF, or just I will give you a highlight of it, just a minute. Or I will share the PDF into the president and he will share it to everyone. Okay, is that all right?
Yes,
we have a complete EDIF was given by the Senate group. No problem.
I see Malik with her hand up.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to put my hand down.
Sounds good. Is there any more questions? Any final questions? I see Jeremy.
I was wondering if you could possibly provide a little bit more detail of what discussion transpired on faculty representation. I know it was discussed at the Senate, but I don't know how it was brought up or what discussion ensued from the Board of Governors. So I'd just like to hear what happened at the Board of Governors with that.
Okay, actually the thing is like that in our arts representative, or we have the science representative, there are some other faculties too. Kind of in the science, there are climate change and the kind of other faculties. So we need a better representation of that at our Board of Governors level. While we are discussing of the faculty system, we can get a view into a small glimpse that what is happening at all the different faculties, kind of that. Because now it's not systematic. Okay, it's systematic, but we need more into system, kind of that thing, to get the better understanding of all of it.
I see Tolu.
So I'm just going to respond to Jeremy's question. So I sat on Senate, and I also sat on and I sit on Senate and I sit on Board of Governors meetings. So I kind of understand where Jeremy is coming from. So I would say there is somewhat of a limited number of faculty members in Board of Governors, but the strat plan was already reviewed by the Governance and Appeal Committee of the university. So they had taken into consideration there's a correction that they were going to make, or they are going to make. I don't know if they've made that already, but on page 13 of the strat plan, it was Board of the Governors and Appeal Committee approved, or they brought it to Senate for approval, but with the fact that they were going to make the correction on page 13. So it was finally approved in Board of Governors. And because most of, I'll say pretty much all the members of Board of Governors sit in Governance and Appeal, I don't sit in Governance and Appeal Committee, so they had discussed it then, and we just kind of approved it. I did ask our questions, but normally every policy, or should I say strat plan, at the university is being reviewed every 3 to 5 years. But since this is the first of its kind and it's more towards equity, diversity, and inclusion, they made note that this would be reviewed after 1 year. So since it was approved in January, I believe, or January, beginning of February, around that time, it will be reviewed again, and then changes will be made to what worked and what didn't work. And then after the first year, after they make any change to the policy, it gets being reviewed every 3 to 5 years. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and I believe you were, at least for some of that, referring to the EDI strategy, but there was a separate point on Akshay's summary of the Board of Governors that was separate from the EDI regarding representation of each faculty, and I was wondering what formal, if any, results that come from that. I apologize if I'm misunderstanding, but I believe you were providing an update for the EDI, not the representation.
I think I was the one that misunderstood your question, but I would, yeah, sorry about that.
No, I apologize. I should have tried to phrase it clear the first time.
I see Malik has her hand up.
Yes, so I don't sit on Board of Governors, but a little bit of clarification around the membership of Board of Governors and who can sit on Board of Governors. It's not as faculty focused as Senate. Senate is very academic, so it's all faculty chairs, admin, sure, but mostly like academic. Board of Governors is more community. So there's 26 total members, and only 2 of those are elected by Senate, and 2 from the faculty of the university, and 2 from the Alumni Association. So it is not a like faculty heavy body, unlike Senate. I can't imagine more than 5 faculty members on there, to be honest. And I don't know exactly, again, who's on there. There is a list online that I can attach below, but it is not faculty heavy at all.
Okay, so this was a request for the Board of Governors to provide more representation for faculty.
No, I didn't got on what topic exactly you need.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
I didn't got on what topic I should exactly discuss on. What was that question, please? Can you let me know once again?
Oh, so just for kind of final clarification, this request for representation for better representation from faculty, that was within the makeup of the Board of Governors, within the representatives of the Board of Governors, not something else?
Yeah, I would be giving, this was all about, I think according to my understanding was that only we need a better representation for the faculty, not at only student level, at chair level, at the dean level, or at every level we need a organized. And for better clarification, I would just once again check out my whole agenda and of my Board of Governors, and I will get back into in the next meeting. According to my study, it was that only we need a proper best representation of the faculties, because the new faculties were there in over this program, and we need a better presentation organized at a student level, chair level, and dean level everywhere, kind of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is there any other questions so that I can answer them?
Seeing no more questions, we will move on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will be sharing that EDI strategy PDF. Please share it to everyone. To you. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks. Awesome. On to our next agenda point. I see Malik with her hand up.
Information, yeah, I'm just a little wary. about the PDF of the EDI strat plan. Not that I don't want it to be shared. I would love for it to be shared, but I don't know if it's public information yet, or if it was discussed in the Board of Governors as something that is pertaining to the Board of Governors and not yet published by the university, because it's not yet up on the website. So I'm just wanting some clarification there before we share a document that should not be shared.
Yeah. First of all, I would get the permission from the president of Board of Governors, and then Board of Governors, and then only I would be sending this. Yeah, I'll make that in mind. Thank you once again for the mind. Yeah.
I see Tolu with her hand up.
Yeah, sorry. After the policy or strat plan was being approved by Board of Governors, they said it's going to go on the website and it becomes active from then. I don't know if it, like you said, it's not on the website yet, but after it's been approved it has been approved from Board of Governors, so it's free to publish, I guess.
Okay, for not getting any problem in future, we'll get it first, get permission from there. We'll have a guide. We'll get the suggestion from there, and I will share the PDF.
Awesome, thank you. Any final questions? Oh wait, no? All right, so we'll move on to our next agenda point, which is the clubs and campaigns coordinator changes. So I will share my screen. So Jose, you can present now.
Okay, folks. So for now, for a while, it'll be a bunch of points under me. So I hope you are ready for that or anything. But basically, so as I mentioned before in previous years, the clubs and societies coordinator position used to be called clubs and campaigns. And it used to be more of a second in command for the BPSL to have help during campaigns and clubs. For this academic year, the previous executive team decided to change the position into only clubs and societies. However, after kind of overseeing that position through Lena this entire year, I feel like even during regular years, clubs do not necessarily need a designated person at all times, considering that the BPSL also uses a share of his time helping and discussing and meeting with clubs and societies members. So I want to change it back into what it used to be, but instead of making it exclusively for campaigns, I want to change the position into events and clubs coordinator, which basically the main difference is that in this case, whoever has that position would essentially be just like another BPSL that would be overviewed by the actual BPSL. So they would basically have almost all the same responsibilities that fall under my position, except for anything pertaining to being an executive member of the UPEI. So everything that is in yellow is basically what got changed. And there's not really that much to go over. The only things that are of importance is I added basically that this person has to be able to help with events, clubs, campaigns. They have to be a point person for this type of information. They have to be able to help with advertisement. They have to be able to host events or assist in the planning and organization of events. I added some of the assets in the job specifications that I feel somebody going to this position should have. So like experience planning and organizing and hosting events, experience with previous UPEI and UPEISU events, having an in-depth knowledge of services and departments at UPEI, and having a strong knowledge of Google and Microsoft programs. Besides that, the only other job duty that I added, which was not like, you have to do this and this and this, is specifically that the club events and clubs coordinator would be the person in charge of the newly established club's Instagram that was started by Lena this year. I also added that another duty would be that the BPSL would help, the events and clubs coordinator will help the BPSL with kind of managing volunteers during events and campaigns. And then that the events and clubs coordinator would always have access to the BPSL report that goes to council, so that they can add whatever they did or anything that was kind of a highlight or anything that council members should know. But yeah, The hourly wage is staying the same, which is $13, $17 an hour. I did readjusted the way that hours are kind of giving out to the coordinator. I made it so that they would have less hours during the summer. They went from 7 a week to 5, and that way they would have 17 hours during regular semester things, because they would logistically be required to be pretty much as the BPSL in the office and around the student union and stuff. So those are the changes that I made, and I'm open to questions or anything, or maybe one of you wants to apply. So yeah, those are the basic changes.
Does anyone have any questions for Jose on this? Seeing none. Jose, were you looking for a motion to come out of this, or are you just present? Yeah.
So I would like to make a motion to officially add the changes that I made to the job description so that they can go up on our website, and we can hire or look to hire somebody who would fill these responsibilities instead of the previously established responsibilities of the position. Something like that.
Awesome. Can you send that wording to Malik, please? Can I get someone, sorry, I'm just gonna ask for a second there first before I call on you, Carrie. Can I get someone to second? I see Sam. Would you like to speak to that, Jose?
No, I just feel like this is a change that needs to happen because the BPSL definitely needs like a full-time person or super there person who can help them with all the responsibilities, because your brain has a lot of things to do, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak to this motion?
Nope.
Seeing none, we will put that to a vote. All in favor, all opposed, anyone who wishes to abstain? Awesome. So that motion has carried. Awesome. Thank you. Carrie, now if you had something to say. I saw your hand up earlier.
I just had a question. Jose, when do you think this job will be posted? Like, when does it start?
I am unsure. I assume the job posting would actually go up pretty soon, considering that we had yearbook staff interviews recently. However, for most of our coordinator positions, I know that they go out sometime in March. I think they go kind of right after the elections for the executive team ends. So sometime like in that second, third week of March, I think it's when it will go out. Yeah, and it would start, I'm pretty sure they would start around, I want to say mid-May-ish. It will be after the new executive team gets transitioned and trained by the current executive team. Hello?
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the next agenda point now, which is the Love and Sex Week review.
Okay. So Mateo, you just need to scroll to when I start talking about Love and Sex Week. It's kind of like purple-ish in color. Page.
Is this it? Sorry, I can't see colors, Jose. Is this it right here?
Yeah, it's right there. So you just need to keep up as I speak, but I'll try to speak like not super quick. But basically, we had 5 events happen. 5 events happened, and 6 out of the 9 workshops that were planned took place. I'll go in depth into which workshops got canceled and why in a bit. And then it should come as no surprise to nobody, but Love and Sex Week was the most popular campaign, event series, whatever, because it always is. That's never changed. It's always been the same, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna stay the same until forever, because students love Love and Sex Week, which is good. 3 3 of the in-person events that happened reached maximum capacity, which was 50 attendees under COVID-19 restrictions, which was great. And a lot of those events continue to have interest after they were filled up. So that kind of showed me that there's definitely interest for having these events happen again, which I've been kind of accommodating in my schedule. I think it's going to happen in April. Then for a more in-depth look at the events, we have the Do-It-Yourself Valentine Cards and Gifts and Treats workshop. It had between 20 and 25 students come through the event and do their own thing. I think it was good. Then we had Sex Toy Bingo. The accessibility rep helped me out with that. We had 50 to 55 students. So whenever I say that I had like between 50 and 55 is because students who were there as volunteers or helping me out on stage or for the planning of the event, and Fox and Crow staff and that, they don't count as attendees that you count under COVID regulations. So I had, for example, Carrie, 2 students that work under Eileen, I had Lena. So yeah. So in case you see any events that say like 50 to 55, I just wanted to keep it accurate to the numbers that were there, but also it was still under COVID restrictions. That event overall went well. I think students appreciated the use of custom-made cards that Carrie and I prepared for them. However, the BPSL should actually get like an actual bingo wheel and stuff for future years. So I left a note for that for the next BPSL. Then Love and Sex Trivia. Again, Carrie helped me out with that as a accessibility rep. Again, 50 to 55 students. We had a lot more in it to win of games because we knew that maybe the vibe of the event would be low, would be like less excited than previous years because it was way less students. So we tried to keep it entertaining by bringing way more in it to win of games. We had 9 instead of the usual 4. Overall, I feel the event went really well. It did get a little bit messy with trying to get people onto stage, but that's kind of something that we expected just because everybody was really excited to win their favorite sex toys. Then the kissing booth with Eileen, the one that Wyatt had between 10 and 15 students. And all the students who were there were actually quite engaged with the movie. I'm doing all the kind of challenges that we gave to them. And Eileen and I opened a conversation about toxic relationships and what to do when you're in them or you see a friend who might be engaging in one of them. So went fairly well. And then we had the UPSU drag show. For that one, the Senate rep was my second in command. That's Jessica Perry. Thank you, Jessica. We had 40 to 45 students present. One of the big tables did not arrive, which was kind of sad. But basically, we had less artists perform compared to previous years just because of the limited traveling. However, I feel like the show itself went really well. I would say the event during Love and Sex Week that I would say went the best. Energy was high, people were engaged, it was fun. I also prepare a drag race trivia and pure Jeopardy for the event because Pride PI was gonna help us with a couple intermission events, but they ended up not being able to help us. So I had to come up with something. But yeah, loved the event, great event, loved it. And then we have the UPSU Cupid requests. So similar to the 5 days of cheer requests, students were able to request gifts for Valentine's. And I would kind of get those ready for them and package them and make them all cutesy and stuff and prepare specially handwritten cards for whoever got gifts. We did around 55 gifts. We kept them all under budget. So every gift was between $15 and $25. And yeah, Malak helped me pack those and then we got them ready. Students came to pick them up. It was nice. There was not as much engagement as the 5 days of cheer wish list, but that's just because there was not as much advertisement for these ones. Just because I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't go over budget doing this nice little thing. And it would be for the people who kind of went out of their way to fill out the form while they were kind of requesting a space for one of the events. As for the workshops, we had one with BIPOC Usher on learning sexual shame and guilt. That one was definitely really successful. BIPOC Usher helped us advertise for it. It had between 20 and 23 attendees, and engagement and participation was extremely high. that went really well. Then we have queering here with accessibility rep and our mental health and wellness officer, and that had between 6 and 8 attendees. We had dating and healthy relationships with Eileen or SB Pro. That one had 15 attendees. Eileen said that it went really well. I was unable to attend because I forgot that I had to sign up to be able to attend. And then our accessibility rep and DSJS student Noel Gaze hosted self-pleasure and masturbation. That had between 6 to 7 attendees. That went well. And then I and the other RLAs hosted a ABC of residence booths and crushes session for resident students. Sadly, there were not as many students attending, which was kind of disappointing, to be honest. The RLAs did work hard on this. However, I discussed with Laura and we'll probably be including this as part of the residence orientation thing that they do every year because it's a really important topic that sometimes doesn't get discussed. Then, Mateo, you're keeping up? Yeah, you're keeping up. Then PI dating etiquette and culture shock was canceled. And why? To be honest, I was burned out. By that point of the week, Love and Sex Week really pushes the limits of the BPSL in terms of how much they can do and handle while still keeping on top of their other responsibilities. And I was feeling pretty burned out by that point. And I just, logistically, I could not get around hosting the event. So I'm sorry about that, folks. Then the next day, me and Callie, the mental health and wellness officer, had an Instagram TV session that had between 5 and 11 students logging in and out, which was about taking care of your mental health during Valentine's. And then the Lost Post breakup, here's what to do session with the Board of Governors actually will get rescheduled just because it was gonna happen over the weekend and it just wouldn't have had the same engagement. And since Akshay put a lot of effort into putting the thing together and he implemented Menti into the whole workshop, I did not want for it to have like low engagement and stuff. So Callie and I are still figuring out when are we gonna put it out, but it's gonna go out in March. And considering what recently happened with the COVID-19 announcements, it'll be good to have an online event about overcoming adversity because we're gonna rework it into more like overcoming adversity or failure, not so much breakups. And then the sexual fetishization and kinks workshop with BIPOC Usher got canceled just because the BIPOC Usher representative who was going to host that event did not feel comfortable hosting it anymore. So yeah, that's the overview of the events. As for the costs of the campaign, it costed $5,000 altogether, roughly. Money was saved here and there because the events obviously did not have such a large scale compared to other years because usually Love and Sex Week is a little bit more expensive. However, something that I did bold and noted out for whoever reads this or the next BPSL is that I reused a lot of the informational pamphlets and stuff that were left by the previous BPSLs just because that information didn't really get super updated since then. However, for future years, we'll have to put probably another big order for a lot of STI, healthy relationships, pamphlets and stuff. So just that. If you want to see the breakdown, it's all in that table. But basically, yeah, it was $5,000 altogether, less expensive than 5 Days of Cheer, about similar price to Halloween Spectacular from last semester. Recommendations for Love and Sex Week, that's really important. So I talked with Eileen, the SB Pro. We believe that it would be smart if future years consent week does not happen and it's kind of combined with Love and Sex Week. The topics go hand in hand and it would be better to just have a couple more days of events or a couple more days of this campaign and implement consent events. Just that way they will get the same attendance as this campaign does and hopefully making consent more successful because it's an important part of Love and Sex, etc. So I'm pretty sure that's going to happen for next year and Eileen already knows about that and she's planning around it. This year we purchased gift cards for sex stores and stuff just because in previous years we always offered the toys straight up. However, we noticed that this year a lot of students actually went for the cards whenever they were available because not everybody wants to just pick those things in front of everybody. So I feel like it's important that future years we have more gift cards than gifts that are already purchased because everybody has different sexual health, sexual pleasure needs. That's Okay, perfect. That's an important point. So point B is basically, it's nice that we always offer a lot of swag, like shirts and stickers and whatever. I feel that's kind of stupid. I feel like future years, the BPSL should focus more into getting other things pertaining to sex that could be useful to students, unlike a shirt that you might use once and never you see it again. So things like non-latex condoms, other options for lube that are not water-based, female condoms, and dental dams. So yeah, hopefully they'll follow that in future years. And if you're on council, please keep up with that. Sorry guys, I don't want to like make this too long, but I already am, so I don't know what to do. Yes, future years, it's better if we keep track that Love and Sex Week should be targeted towards all UPEI. That includes students under 19. So just keep track of that for future years when the BPSL does the events. And if future years, the Love and Sex Week is as busy as it usually is and was this year, it's better if the BPSL somehow has like a designated team of helpers, because this year I only made it through because I had like Jessica and Carrie and some students from my link helping me out. But otherwise, Love and Sex Week, really hard to host all of it, and definitely BPSL needs help that week. So if you're a counselor next year or something like that, definitely offer to assist that BPSL. And yeah, that's that. I'll go faster to the next point. Sorry guys, any questions for me about Love and Sex Week?
Do you have any questions on this, everyone? Seeing none, we will move on. So the next item on the agenda is the Black History Month events, the review of these. So here you go.
Okay, here we go again, folks. So yeah, so for most of these events, we offer a support role for Black Cultural Society or BIPOC Usher. Tulu took more of a point person role for this week specifically, because I was handling Love and Sex Week. So thank you, Tulu, for that. We offer 5 events and 3 workshops in total. And the 5 events were Black History Month trivia that had between 20 and 30 students. Holland College helped us for that. Definitely, we had way less backlash than what happened last year for Black History Month trivia. So really happy about that. And then we had a tab takeover that had between 8 and 15 students, mainly planned by Mike. Then the BIPOC leaders and representation at UPEI workshop get canceled because the students who were going to help me out with that, they kind of bailed, and then I didn't know what to do. But yes, so that workshop had to be canceled. Then we had a destigmatizing mental health in Black communities workshop. It was put together by our mental health and wellness officer and BIPOC Usher. It had between 9 and 15 students. Then we had the discussion panel, which was facilitated by Black Culture Society and our president. We had between 25 and 30 students or attendees. Actually, I feel it went really well, and I really liked the panel and like what was discussed. I definitely felt like it was an interesting event, and if you missed it, it's on the Facebook page for Black Culture Society. Then we had a tab takeover by Kira Celeste. You had between 15 and 20 students. And then the Black History Month Rants and Readings Slam Night got postponed from the 22nd to the 26th because there was some miscommunication between me and the library. Then it was changed from in-person to online because of recent COVID-19 updates. So that affected attendance for sure, and we only had 6 students show up. Overall, this campaign costed $1,300. Most of the budget there went into paying the people who were showing up for the discussion panel or the artist Kira Celeste or stuff like that. Again, sorry, the money is broken down in the table there if you want to have an extra look. And then my recommendations. So if the BPSL has time and they think that it's a good idea, I recommend having some events about Black History Month happening during Reading Week, just so that it feels more like it's an actual month-long thing. Make sure that you continue collaborating with Black Culture Society and BIPOC Usher, because we want to provide more of a support role. If we have societies and clubs that did not happen this year, like the African Society, Caribbean Society, it would be nice to give them the opportunity to host their own events with extra budget. These events should have as much of a spotlight as Love and Sex Week does. I don't understand why this year was specifically the norm, but that should be kind of the standard. And overall, there's a lot of improvement because it was the first year that the UPSU did so much for Black History Month, and it was great. And the only thing that I kind of did not get around doing that I would like to see is usually when the building is more busy and there's people walking around, we do like exhibition walls on the first floor of the student center. I would like if for future years there was like a wall or thing that talk about Black artists and writers or Black folks and their contributions to science, or a timeline of the history of Black folks in PI and Canada. And then another point that was not there, but I wrote it up there for Love and Sex that I just want to go into is the BPSL has a big budget, and that means that it should be well spent. From what I've seen specifically for Love and Sex Week on previous years, the BPSL doesn't really give, I want to say, appropriate compensation to a lot of the people who are not UPEI students or volunteers or workers who help you make these things great. It would be great if the BPSL had kind of like a budget set aside for every workshop, campaign, or event that is specifically for compensating whoever is helping you put things together, but that's that. Any questions, concerns, words of encouragement?
Do you have any questions for the VPSL here? Seeing none, we will move on. So the next item on the agenda is the March events.
Yeah, Mateo, you can go up for those. It's when everything gets rainbow-ish and there's like orange, green, and pink. It's on the first page. But point of interest, I just want to gauge, does council think this is something that is worth looking into, considering the more recent updates we've had of COVID-19? Just because some of the events and ideas, like about half or 60% of them were in person. And I'll probably have to rework a lot of those events. And I don't know if there's really a point in kind of discussing all of that right now, considering that I don't know what will stick around and what won't. So any comments for that?
I see Adam.
Thank you, Chair. I personally would kind of wait to see how the situation settles. So maybe wait 3 days and reevaluate.
Anybody else?
Jose, how about I just do a straw poll really quickly to see if, yeah, all right. So I'm just gonna send out a really quick poll. This isn't like a official motion or anything, but it's just to see if you guys think that we should come back to this at a later date. So all in favor of coming back to this at a later date? Yeah, by the looks of the votes, that's what we'll do. Well, but we'll come back to this another time, Jose.
Okay, perfect. So the information for whatever events were happening are there in the report. You're more than free to look over them, and if there's anything where you want to help, collaborate, or you see any recommendations from how I can make any of those things online, be sure to contact me. Thank you, and yeah.
Awesome. So we will move on to the next point of the agenda, which is the NIFT recommendations for the book exchange proposal. So is that, who's presenting on that? Sorry.
I'll present.
Awesome. Do you need to share your screen?
No, I'll just freestyle it if that's okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, following Jeremy's presentation to council last meeting, talking about the book exchange, the NIFT committee met on February 11th to discuss it, and we did a proper review of it, and our committee voted in favor of the idea. A lot of things are not figured out yet, but we listed a few things that we're concerned about before the implementation. That's including funding. The budget was $1,000. So we'd like to see where that money's going to come from. The service is proposed to be open to university students and the community. The union wouldn't be able to track anyone outside the university body. And we're kind of wondering who's going to be responsible for the service. But we did vote in favor of it as we think it's a really good idea and we think UPEI students will really enjoy it. So in saying that, I would like to move a motion for council to approve this idea and let it go in place.
Do we have anyone to second that motion? I see Councillor Hartz. So would you like to speak to that motion, Sam?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Jeremy for bringing up this initiative. I think it's going to be really great.
Awesome. Would anyone else like to speak to that motion?
Just point of quick information. So motion to approve the book exchange initiative and implement it. Does that sound good to you, Sam?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Would anyone else like to speak to that motion? Seeing none, I will put out a poll. All in favor of that motion? All opposed and any abstain?
Sorry, folks. I'm not good at multitasking. Another point of information. Who seconded that?
That was Councillor Hartz.
Perfect. Thank
you.
Possible point of order, please, Chair.
Yes, Adam.
Since Councillor Hertz was the promoter of this initiative, would it be a conflict of interest for him to second that?
I don't believe it would be. Not that I know of.
Okay, all good then.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to rescind my seconding if someone else would like to second it instead, just to try to remove any conflict of interest that could possibly exist.
Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll relaunch the poll. So can someone else second that motion, please? I see Councillor Midkiff. Awesome. So I'm just going to put out that polling again really quickly. So all in favor, all opposed, anyone who wishes to abstain. It looks like that motion has passed. Awesome. Thank you. If that's all you had for that point, Sam?
Yeah, that's everything. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. On to the next point of the agenda. So the update on lab fees. I believe Jennifer is speaking to that.
Yes, hello.
Do you need to share your screen?
So basically, oh no, I'm good. I'm just gonna kind of wing it. I have the notes on here. So basically on Friday, February 26th, me and Jessica Perry, the other Senate rep, one of the other Senate reps, met with Nola Etkin, the Dean of Science. And it was a good meeting, but it wasn't like exactly what we were hoping for, but it was really nice to get some things clear. So basically what our goal was to see like what we could do about this, about the lab fees, the $75 lab fees. We were getting some student complaints about paying it and having labs completely online. And then people wanted confirmation like where the money was going and how like if this could be changed so that they didn't have to pay it. So basically what she explained is that with labs being online, they're not saving any money. They're more like, so basically the way it works is lab fees go into a big pot and then all labs pull out of this pot. So like always, normally some labs will use more money than the other labs. It's not just $75 per person for that lab. And they have hired more TAs for online labs. They have some that run online ones and some that run in-person ones. So she did say like, as hard it is to believe that they aren't saving money, that they're saving money, they're really not. And basically if they wanted to buy an instrument for the physics lab, that would also come out of the lab fee money. So, and she also, you could tell like she was very passionate about this issue too. And she was really willing to like listen to our concerns and was very understanding of them. And you could tell she was frustrated as well. So overall, they cannot like reimburse money because it's really hard in the system with having everything dash the L means the lab and it's automatically the $75 fee. And that's kind of hard to say, well, you don't have to pay the fee and you do have to pay the fee based on what their lab is. But going forward in the fall, hopefully like this is that all labs will be back to normal and that the chief public health can help make the guidelines so that we don't have to be 6 feet apart. Therefore, you can get because we're wearing proper masks and gloves and everything in the lab, that you won't have to be 6 feet apart and you can fit more people in it. So like that's starting in the fall, to potentially be back to normal. And one thing that was suggested was about if courses really are still doing online labs and they're not working, there's might be coming in the future to change it to a tutorial. Therefore, you wouldn't have to pay the $75 fee. And that will be reassessed more before the fall semester, because then you'll know like what courses should be. And yeah, so that's something going forward. That's nice to look forward to, that some will be changed. Yeah. Any questions?
I see Jose.
Hi, Jessica. I'm maybe it's different for some courses, but in psychology, whenever I had tutorials, they were also charged, and it was also $75. So it was like a similar charge to the lab fee. So I don't know if now it has changed since then, but just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if what's the system, or I don't know if maybe some psychology courses are different. But I do remember when I paid for them, maybe like a year ago, they still charged me $75, even though it was called tutorial, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been in a few tutorials and I've never been charged the $75. It was only for the lab components that I had $75 for. So I'm not sure on that one.
But to add to that, it was called tutorial, but we did meet in person in a lab. So maybe that's why, but not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, most of my tutorials that I've been in have just been like kind of like an extra class. Like I know for calculus, they have an extra tutorial class. And then the biochemistry that I'm in now, we're not charged, and it's just like a problem solving set. But I don't know what it is like for psych or the other ones, but I can check in on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions for Jennifer? Seeing none. Thank you very much. We will move on. So up next on the agenda, we have the 2,000 plus expenditures. So I am come.
I'll just quickly share my screen here.
Yeah, I gave you co-hosting.
So this is just the 2,000 plus expenses for the remaining part of January and some part of February. So the first one on the list is the February payments to Campus Trust. We do a monthly payment, and that is the January payments to Campus Trust, which was $194,115.96. We also paid for our 3 Visa card, which is owned by our different managers. That is to pay for different expenses that we encounter. We have our Canada Revenue Agency payments for income tax for staffs. For all staffs. So that's where we have $8,307.75. We also have our HST payment to Canada Revenue also. And we have our January 2021 payment to UPEI, which is the monthly payment we pay to the university. So this is the 20,000 plus expenses up until date.
Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, we will move on. So the next point on the agenda is the Fox and Crow January report, which I also believe is the outcome.
Yes, so this is the January 2021 Fox and Crow report for all the expenses that we have made during the month of January. Starting off with our revenue of $16,000, $488.26. So we have cleaning and sanitation payment. We also have payments for our trivia host. So we have two fixed trivia hosts that we have at the Fox and Crow. We also have the expenses of entertainment. So whether this be the musicians that come for Tap Takeover, all those other expenses like that. We have equipment rental. We also have interest and bank charges for the Fox and Crow, as well as materials and supplies. We have the expense of printing for the Fox and Crow receipt papers, all of those other little things like that. We also have purchase of liquor that we sell at the pub, as well as purchase of food for the restaurants. We have repair and maintenance expenses, as well as wages and benefits for staffs. We also have the expense of telephone, as well as CPP expenses and EI expenses, which total the expenses to $17,133.79, and we have a net loss of $645.53 for the month of January.
Do we have any questions on the Fox and Crow report? Seeing none, we will move on. The next item on the agenda is the yearbook update. Sorry, who's presenting on the yearbook update? Oh, we can't hear you. Ayamaka, you're on mute.
I'm sorry about that. So we had an interview for the yearbook staff, and I'll just need councillors to approve the two people that we are recommending. So yeah, so I think this will be an in-camera session or something like that.
Yeah, point of information, this is for the selection of two individuals to hire for or to select for the yearbook committee or the yearbook
yearbook staff.
Okay, in that case, if I'm not mistaken, we would have to move into camera.
Oh, so you you're presenting hiring board results, Ayamaka?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't put that way on the agenda. So I will now entertain a motion to move into camera. I see Adam.
Thank you, Chair. I move that we move into camera.
Awesome. Can I get a seconder? I see business rep Sam. Awesome. So I'm going to, would you like to speak to that motion, Adam?
No, thank you, Chair.
Would anyone like to speak to that motion? Seeing none, I will put that to a vote. All in favor of moving into camera? All opposed, and anyone who wishes to abstain? The votes have it, that motion has carried. So we'll be moving to camera now. I ask that anyone who is not a counselor step outside of the meeting now, and I will stop the recording. Okay, pause recording. Yeah, the recording now. Awesome. So we will now be entertaining a motion to approve the hiring board results as presented. Sam.
Yes, I would like to propose a motion to approve the hiring of the two individuals as chosen by the hiring committee for the yearbook.
Awesome. Can I get someone to second that motion? Malik, is that what your hand is raised for?
Yes.
Awesome. So moved by Sam, seconded by Malik. Would you like to speak to that motion, Sam?
No, thank you.
Awesome. Would anyone like to speak to that motion? Seeing none. All in favor of approving the results? All opposed? Anyone who wishes to abstain? The votes have it. That motion has carried. Awesome. So on to the next agenda point, society ratifications. Are there any new societies or clubs to ratify this week, Jose?
Nope, no updates on that end.
All right, then we'll be moving on to the next item on the agenda, that is new business. Does anyone have anything to speak about during new business? I see Tolu.
Hello, everyone. So I and the other execs were discussing the other day, and we were looking into extending the winter semester. So just like we had the semester that 1 week was given to students to relax and also for self-isolation for the winter break, yes. So 1 week was, the semester started off a little later in 1 week, and we're thinking of taking that to Senate or discussing it with the university body to make this a normal, like how the semester should currently run. I know currently the semester starts as of the first Monday or the first weekday of the new year. So we're thinking of the semester starting the second Monday of every year. And I just really wanted to hear counselors' idea to this. Yeah. Go on.
I see Jose on the speakers list.
Yep, just to add on to what Tulu is saying, we discussed how usually in any academic year, any student who lives out of province or is an international student and they travel back home for whatever reason, they usually tend to arrive between 2 to 3 weeks later than they should. And that tends to happen just because plane tickets, etc., whatever, are really expensive during the closer they are to like Christmas and New Year's and stuff. So we thought that starting the second Monday would potentially help these students not miss out on so much of the first weeks, just because as somebody who used to work in the international students office, this happens a lot frequently and it's bad.
Thank you, Jose. I saw Sam was next.
Yeah, I guess one bit of concern I might have from thinking about the faculty's perspective, where if we were to add on an additional week onto the winter break, where would we make up for those lost instructional days in terms of the profs that might lose out in their opportunity for just making up for those instructional days?
Yeah, I can speak to that. I believe we will just have the semester extended a little bit. Currently, the semester is extended 2 days more. So basing it off the structure currently, more like a 2 days extra to the winter semester.
Okay.
I saw Adam was next on the speakers list.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm a little bit confused about what we're discussing. Are we discussing extending the winter break or the winter semester? And I have a follow-up question, Chair.
The winter break.
Okay. And are we talking about extending this permanently for all future years or just 1 year, 2 years?
So the plan is to test it again with a continuity in mind. But I just wanted to hear what students feel about it before taking it to Senate and before Senate steering committee, the Senate steering committee, and we'll discuss it more there.
Do you have any more questions, Adam?
So kind of what you're proposing is a pilot run for next year and to see how it goes, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'm good now, Chair.
Thank you. I see Jeremy next on the speakers list.
I think it's a very interesting proposition that perhaps should be presented to the Senate. And this is I want to inform counselors that this is a subjective argument, because that's all I have is my personal experience and that of my cohort, which is a relatively small sample size, and it only represents one of the many faculties. So perhaps others could speak up as to what their experience this semester was, where our semester started later. But I felt that, at least for me and for my fellow students in my program, that professors started off with a bang. There was a lot of expectation, a lot more than there usually is, very quickly, which took a lot of us off guard. Again, I'd love it if others could, from other programs, could speak to how that was for them, but I would be concerned about that being a continual issue, or not even continual, but a recurring issue for at least the next year, if it's only a 1 year pilot, or years past that, regardless of whether we add days onto the end. Will professors still start off much stronger, and are students prepared for that?
Thanks, Jeremy. I'll take note of that.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was unmuted. Malik, do you have something to say?
Yes, please. So just to kind of re-answer all of these questions and maybe bring a little bit of caution, but also maybe like I forgot the word in English, I'm sorry, like make you feel a little better about this, is when we had this going on in the last semester, so when we extended the December Christmas break, it was based on the data that we got from the survey that showed that students needed a break. And when we presented that to Senate, faculty, I would say, was kind of divided. Some faculty also highlighted that it is good because faculty also needs a break. Other faculty members were had concerns about the different timelines pertaining to their own schools, like nursing, ABC, mostly the practical pieces of the programs. And then we had a very intense discussion at APCC, and Jennifer was also at that meeting and could speak to that, about how that would affect the academic calendar going into the semester that we're in right now. And eventually, after looking at the academic calendar and looking at the days and those discussions, it was decided that even though we were pushing the winter semester start 4th to the 11th, we had only added about, and I know Jennifer knows these numbers better than I do because my memory is not that good, but it was about 2 extra days into the examination period and 2 extra days into the end of the semester, and the teaching days weren't impacted at that point. So the semester was ended up only being extended by a few more days, and compared to the benefit of having a winter break expanded for the students, and some faculty again were supportive of it, very supportive of it. I think overall it was a good measure for the year that we're in right now. Now, what we're looking at is trying to bring this into another year to see if that's worth it. And again, these concerns were brought up to us from services on campus, as well as like the conversations that we had at the office, especially the international student office, who were talking about international students who start in the winter, that they don't have an NSO, but also they only come in and go to classes right away because the offices for the services aren't open for them in advance of classes starting. So what happens is these students don't have a smooth transition into their academic experiences because they don't have the services that would have supported them open at that time. So by pushing the academic start a little bit further than when everything else opens on campus, you're giving a smoother transition to these students, but also it's a benefit for everyone who is hoping to, well, it's a longer break and especially accommodates travel. But of course, we don't want to highlight the travel piece right now because no one knows what's going to happen. We're not going to bring anything to council without bringing, to Senate without bringing the data. Again, of course, it's important to have that backing up. So what we also discussed at AXCOM is we added a part asking that into the survey. And I know it's kind of cliche to plug in the survey and be like, if you want to make sure that we're getting the most student body perspective from different faculties and different schools about that, please make them answer the survey. But it's the reality, because the survey has a piece talking about this happened in the past. Would you like to see this further in the future? And then we can bring that data to Senate, or we can choose not to bring that data to Senate if we see that it's something that students are conflicting about, right? So we're trying to make sure that we are representing everyone and bringing informed data to the body that we bring this to, but do like to make sure that your faculty is as represented as it can be. Please make sure to answer that survey to show us what different student perspectives on that is. And I hope that answers everyone's questions.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions on this topic? I see Jose.
I just have a quick point of, I guess, information that comes specifically from the BPSL portfolio. Something that I discussed with pretty much the running candidates for the BPSL position, or are already seeing in their platforms and stuff, is that some of them are highly considering continuing forward with an idea that was just not implemented, which was kind of organizing some sort of mini orientation for students starting out in the winter semester, because usually there's no orientation. The closest thing is ISO, but that's only for international students, and it's mainly an information dump. It's not so much about making relationships and having fun. Talking specifically from the perspective of the BP student life portfolio position, whatever, having that extra week to prepare something nice for those students starting out in the winter, such as a mini IC orientation or whatever. I think the BPSL, if whoever gets the position decides to take on that extra role, whatever, I feel that the extra time would be good for them, and also good for the students who are part of starting that semester, whatever.
Sounds good. Does anyone else have questions? I see the arts rep.
So this is to Malik. I was wondering, she was talking about using the last survey that students said they would like an extra week. But I was wondering, wasn't that mainly for like the COVID term, like for next fall where it's gonna be in person? Like I don't know if everyone would actually. I don't know if it's gonna be the same for people. Maybe some people would want the same thing again. So maybe another survey with the same questions that would highlight what it would be like for a semester that's not like fully online with the new changes and everything.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that point. I definitely didn't clarify enough, but because that survey kind of gave us the insight on what students would have liked to see in that winter break, we're including it again we're including like something about that in the survey that's going out tomorrow about the policy priorities, as well as a question about would you like to see the Christmas break expanded again for future years. So it's there's another question pertaining to that in a survey that's going out tomorrow as well.
Do we have any more questions? Jose, did you leave your hand up, or did you want to say something? Oh, I guess you have his hand up. Awesome. Tolu, you didn't want any motion out of what you said, or you're just presenting?
Yeah, I'm just presenting, and yeah, just wanted to hear everyone's feedback on that.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone else have any new business to bring up right now? I see Adam.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's just kind of a note. I would strongly encourage everyone to check their student emails, as there's a message from UPEI Marketing and Communications in there regarding this week.
Thank you, Adam. Do we have any more new business? I saw Jeremy had his hand up. Yeah, Jeremy.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to thank you for the support on the book exchange proposal, as well as directing thanks to the members of the NIFT committee for looking at it further. At the behest of the NIFT committee, when I was discussing it with them, they strongly encouraged the creation of a survey to be issued to the student body, gauging interest on this type of service to ensure that it was something that they do in fact want, which I took the initiative to do, which if Mateo, if you could actually grant me, oh, perfect, you've got it, fantastic. This was created in collaboration with a few other students, as well as examined by two of the executive members of the student union. And I would love to open it up for discussion on whether people support this. And I'm not sure if there is a motion that needs to be created to request for the UPEI Student Union to issue the survey, or how that process works. If I could get clarification on that as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the motion. I'm not sure if one of the execs would know if we need to have a motion, or if you guys can just put surveys forward. Do any of the execs know?
I'm not 100% sure about whether or not we need a motion. I would just also, I just want to say we need to also be in contact with our marketing communications manager about putting out another survey in terms of timelines, because we don't know when we can put it out. And kind of a question to Jeremy about, like, is there a certain time you'd like to see this by, or do you have anything about, like, distribution?
Frankly, soon as possible, so that one, because these results will determine how other steps, whether other follow-up steps take place or not. Because I would argue that regardless of approval here, if it's determined that the student body does not in fact support the initiative, then it'll come into question about whether it will actually go forward or not. And with the expectation of hoping to get it done before member shifts changes in March, it is a time sensitive issue.
I would recommend that. Sorry, Mateo, were you gonna?
Well, yeah, you can go on and I can say something. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say again. I would have. I mean, I can't make like a decision alone. This would have to be decided by our marketing and communications manager. But I can see that it could possibly be included in our March newsletter that goes out to all students by email. If that sounds good. But again, I can't confirm. We need to pass this by the marketing and communications manager.
Yeah, and Jeremy, in terms of motions, in my 3 years on council, I don't ever recall us putting a survey to motions. I'd just say do as Malik says and get in contact with the right folks.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I suppose I'll shift my original proposition to other, instead of requesting a motion, I wanted to present the survey to council in order to inform them of steps being taken on this initiative.
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah.
That was about it. I don't know what else I should say.
Oh, sorry. I thought you wanted to go through it in depth. Okay. Do you want me to send this out to people, Jeremy, or how do you want to go about that? Getting feedback on that.
Sure. I can also I'll provide the link in the chat right now as well for just in case people are quick.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Sorry. Awesome. There's the link if anyone wants to give Jeremy feedback. Like he said, it's a time sensitive issue, so if anyone wants to give him feedback, please do so quickly. Do we have any other new business? I see Sam.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know I sent out a preliminary email to Elections Canada about the idea of possibly having an information session for employment in the polls. And I did hear back just an email saying, yes, we'd be interested and we'd be interested to have a meeting to see what we could do. Until I hear more information about that, I'll keep you guys posted, but nothing firm yet. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that I reached out in a preliminary manner.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. Any other new business? Seeing none, I just want to thank everyone for their patience with me tonight. I know it was a little slow starting off during this meeting. So yeah, thanks everyone for their patience. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. I see Sam.
I would like to propose a motion of adjournment.
Awesome. Can I get any seconders? I see Carrie. Sam, would you like to speak to that motion?
I just want to say thank you for covering for Ashley today. You've done great, Mateo, and I think we got a lot of work done today.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else want to speak to that motion? Seeing none, I will put that to a vote. So all in favor of adjournment, all opposed. Anyone who wishes to abstain? The votes have it. That motion has carried. This meeting is adjourned at 8:19 p.m. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
All right, everyone have a good week.
Have a good week.
Stay safe, folks. Bye.
Stay safe.
I'm gonna share the minutes with you, and if there's anything you want me to change, let me know. I tried.
Yeah, you can just share it to my deputy chair email. Thank you so much for the help, by the way. It is really appreciated. So thank you. Have a good week, everyone.
Mateo, if you'd like,
Yeah.
you can, if you also distribute the survey by email, feel free to include my graduate senate email for people, because I know that you can't leave comments on a Google form. So if they decide to like type up recommendations that they have, then feel free to include my email that they could send it to as well.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want me to just forward along the email that you sent with the survey link earlier to Ashley?
Yeah, that would be absolutely fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Have a good weekend.